Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're here at My Aligned Purpose, the podcast, and MAP TV. We're recording for both platforms today. I'm your host, Nicole McClellan. I am so looking forward to today's conversation. I have here with me today, Jill Veghlan, and I always like to share if I have a connection to the person that I'm speaking to, how I've come to know them, and then we'll invite Jill in to intro herself. But I had the pleasure actually of meeting Jill for the first time last August. So almost a year ago now, and we were both doing a module for CTI, our coach training program. And Jill and I got partnered up a few times, and every single time we got together, it was like the waterworks show and all the emotions. And we were just like, I felt like such a great support system for one another. It was an instant connection for sure. And it's been so fun to watch over the last year, Jill, like just how you've shown up on a social media presence, I suppose. And that's how lots of people are seeing one another these days, with COVID, and how you've navigated aspects of life that have looked different for you because of this pandemic, and just all the things that you're passionate about and what's happening for you and what you're doing for yourself and your community. So I've loved personally being witness to that. And I know we only ever see one morsel of somebody's life on social media. What I have seen has been really inspiring and great. And so welcome to the podcast, the MAP TV today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It really is such a treat. And it's so crazy that we've never met in person. We have only ever seen one another in this way. The goal, I know, is at one point we will have a glass of wine face to face. We'll get to hug and say hello in person. And I can't wait for that. But yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So Jill, why don't you tell us some things that I think people always love to hear is like, who are you? Who is Jill? What do you love to do? Where are you calling in from? And sort of what's going on in your life right now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's a big one. Who are you? We'll just keep it real simple for right now. Again, my name's Jill Veghlan and I live in Los Angeles. I actually live in Los Angeles proper. My zip code is Los Angeles, which is kind of cool because I think people in LA, it's so big and so broad. There's all these little pockets and there's little towns and cities. But yeah, I'm in LA. I currently work as head of people, so head of HR for a really cool public relations agency. We're based in San Diego. We also have an office in New York City. We're growing a ton right now. We're female-owned and operated PR agency in the tech space, which is pretty unusual. So we work with venture-backed tech startups, and I oversee the whole team. So a lot of engagement with our team and coaching and things like that. I love it. I'm now coaching, I think, 6 of our team members. And I just really, I really enjoy it a ton. As we were just sort of briefly talking about before we got rolling, I founded and run a program with incarcerated youth, which we'll probably get into that a little bit. It's called STRONG. It stands for Stopping Teenage Recidivism Through Opportunity and Growth. And recidivism is just a really big, scary sounding word for repeat behavior, specifically repeat criminal behavior, although it can be used much broader, but repeat behavior that causes someone to be reincarcerated. So back in jail more than one time. If you've been in jail twice, you're a recidivist. So stopping teenage recidivism through opportunity and growth is a way to try to reduce the recidivism specifically for younger people before they hit the age of 18, and then they're in the prison system and it's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
So that is just coming back to life very slowly because COVID, all the prisons and jails shut down. So we're starting to get back into that. And then, as I mentioned as well, I'm right in the middle of a 31-day workout challenge that I do twice a year with a very large group of people, and it's growing. And I run that. It's all social media based, and we're on what's today? Day 12, day 12, July 12th. Yep. So yeah, we're on day 12 of that challenge. And then who I am, I mean, it's it's such a good question. And the truth is, I've really spent most of my life, I think, because I was taught from a young age, based on my family and my religion and my community, to be a good person. That was it, right? Which can sound very big and like, okay, what does that mean? But I've spent most of my life trying to be a good person, which to me means being kind, thinking of others, showing up for people, making sure they feel seen and that they matter and that they're valued. And I think I've spent most of my life doing that. And I think I did it. Like, I'm a good person. And I can say that now, like, check.
Yes. Pat yourself on the back for that. Yes. You 100% are a good person.
Did it. And now Thank you. Thank you. But now I'm recognizing I can integrate all these other pieces of me that I think really got backburnered because it was all about be good. And that's it. Like nothing else matters. And so I think I really deprioritized or really just like muted a lot of parts of me because I was so focused on being good. And I'm recognizing now I mean, there's so many gifts from that, and my life is so beautiful because of it. But I think there are a lot of sides of me that I really ignored, and so I'm starting to like explore those parts of me and honor that I'm the good person. I don't have to worry about that so much anymore. That's locked in.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where to even begin? So many great things. How about, I know my own curiosity, and I guess if I get to host this, then I get to ask the questions I'm curious about, is what got you into the work of Strong LA? Like what, because that seems very different than your like people work with this public relations company. So two very different parts of you. Well, I guess three very different parts of you, the aspect and the desire to like drive people to find that motivation to work out and move their body. And you are always working out. I'm like, man, she's so motivated. And so let's start there. What got you into being really passionate with the incarcerated youth?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really powerful story, and it's for me. I love that question as well, and I actually assume most of the time there's some sort of personal element, and that's not necessarily the case, but there is for me. So usually I assume if someone's really passionate about something, that they've like dedicated a large portion of their life to it, there's got to be some sort of personal tie. And I'm always surprised when that isn't the case. I'm just like, wow, how do we get more people to not have to be personally impacted to give a shit? Like that's something I really spent a lot of time thinking about because I was personally impacted by incarceration. My younger brother, who is 4 years younger than me, and my cousin, who is maybe 2.5, 3 years younger than me. My brother is white and my cousin is black. And everyone always asks, how is that possible? It's really quite simple, right? My aunt was white, her husband was black, her partner was black, and I have a black family members. And so they were both drug addicts in their early 20s, and through their drug addiction, a lot of crime. They just tend to go hand in hand. They were involved in a crime where they robbed a convenience store and a gun was involved. And when you are, I worked in criminal defense for many years as well. So I worked in the legal system. And when you are both, when mutually involved in a crime, you are charged the same, you're co-defendants. So they were both involved in the crime. They were both charged with robbery, mayhem, assault with a deadly weapon, multiple felonies. And my brother, again, white, and my cousin, black. And my brother got a 4-year prison sentence. And my cousin, my black cousin, which is important, got a 23-year prison sentence. So yeah. Yeah. And I saw it just play out in my own life, the racism in our prison system. Yeah, it's startling. And this is the reality. Like this isn't new, and this continues to this day. My cousin is, from lower socioeconomic background. We were middle class, so we had a little more funds. But even then, we didn't pay for a fancy lawyer for my brother because this had been a cycle for him now. This had been years of him and his drug addiction through his teens into her early 20s. But again, just him being white benefited him, and he did not take the hit that my cousin did. And my cousin served, 16 years. He's out now and doing amazingly well. And him and my brother are like super close, and they're both out and they're both doing incredibly well and thriving. And it's really amazing. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. My cousin was robbed from a lot of his life. I think a wildly unfair sentence for a first offense as well. And no one was killed. There was no murder or anything like that, but a gun was involved. And when a gun is involved, it does make charges much more serious. So it was through seeing that disparity and seeing that injustice, and also recognizing that my brother, who had every opportunity, every resource, could go down this path. Children who don't have these opportunities and don't have these resources, they need to know that there are other options. They need to know there are tools that they can rely on themselves, because maybe they don't have the opportunity, they don't have the resources that my brother had. And what can we offer them? So the program really evolved. I've now been doing it for over 7 years. It started as kind of a mentorship program where I would bring people in who are entrepreneurs doing really cool shit in Los Angeles. And you'd be like, hey, here's a career opportunity you might not have thought of. Or they'd say, hey, I want to own a barbershop. So I'd find like a cool entrepreneur who ran a barbershop and I'd bring them in to talk about it. So they could kind of talk about how kids could get into these different careers. And it was through.
Sorry, can I just ask, when you say bring them in, do you mean bring them into like where the youth are incarcerated?
Yes. So they're called juvenile detention centers. So they're jails for kids. Yes. That's where I would bring speakers in. Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the people who were like head of these centers, was it an easy process to be like, can I come in and try and like enrich their lives and bring like betterment to their lives?
No, it's a very difficult process, surprisingly, to get into jail or prison if you haven't been arrested, right? If you're not like being court ordered to go there, it's actually really difficult to get into a prison or jail to offer programming. So I piggybacked in through this larger organization called New Earth. They do really cool stuff in Los Angeles. And I piggybacked in through them. And then when I established Strong as its own entity and its own program, I was able then, and I'd also established myself at this point. I had rapport. I got to know people in the system. I had a really good reputation. So then I was able to break off and go on my own and be strong and come in without New Earth. But it was not easy.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a redirect. So I'm like, so many questions. I'm like,
ask. You just keep hitting me with questions, please.
Yeah. Okay. So you would bring in the people like entrepreneurs and different things like that. What do you feel like so far you can look back on the work that you've done with Strong and be like, I see that this made a difference?
That's a really good question. And I think a lot of people get hung up on that, right? I think people get really hung up on needing to see the difference, needing to like, where's the proof that what I'm doing matters? Like, I need to show you, I need the trophy, I need the documentary, I need the thing to be like, see what I'm doing has an impact. And I really think people get very hung up on that. And I actually think that's oftentimes what stops people from doing it, because they feel like if they're not going to change someone's life, then what's the point, right? If I'm not going to really make a real impact, what's the point? So I've struggled with this myself, because there was a period there where I was like, I'm not making an impact. The kids I was seeing as time would wear on, I'd meet them when they were 16, and then I'd hear about them 2 years later getting 25 to life in prison. So if you, especially the work that I'm doing, if you get hung up on what their outcome's going to be, the statistics still, the odds are so stacked against these kids that I couldn't. For me, it was just show up, consistency. Most of these kids don't have that kind of consistency in their lives. So it's just, for me, the impact is that I show up and I keep showing up. And even when the jails shut down or the jails don't give me my clearance, or I'm told I can't come back to that particular facility, I find a way to get to another one, and I just keep showing up. So one day I do hope, like, I have a really dear friend who's a mentor, Dan Seaver. He runs an amazing program called Manifest Works. And he really did mentor me when I first got into the jails. I was working directly with him. He now has incredible stats for this program that he's established, Manifest Works. It's a beautiful nonprofit, and it employs people all over Los Angeles. It's amazing. And he's got the stats, right? So he gets all the funding and all of these things. I think eventually that is probably the path I'll take, where I do need to get into, okay, look, I've got the statistics to show you. But for now, it's just a small program that I run where I have volunteers who come and help me out. My main mission is just that consistency and showing up, letting these kids know that I see them, there is value in them, they can do hard things, they can get out of their comfort zone. They can recognize that our comfort zones are often our comfort zones are the things that often hurt us the most, right? Yeah. Like, that's where we can actually do the most damage to ourselves, because we're comfortable and we think, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I know. This is what's expected of me. I'm told I'm a bad kid, so this is where bad kids go. So I guess to really answer your question, I don't know that I will ever get to really see that kind of a difference in these kids' lives. And I don't have that expectation. I just want them to know that I'm there.
Do you see it in your life? Like,
oh my God,
7 years.
Yeah.
I feel the impacts. in your own life?
Oh, immensely. I mean, immensely. And I tell these kids all the time, like, and you know this, Nicole, you're a very passionate person who lives with purpose. When you are living your purpose, and there's so many purposes, right? There's so many different ways you can feel you're living your purpose. I think people also get hung up on that too, of like, what's my one purpose? It's everywhere. It's every day. And there are many ways that I think
it's seasonal.
Yes.
Like not Mother Nature's seasons, but our own seasons. Like, I will eventually get to this question, and I guess maybe I could ask it to you right now is, what do you believe is your purpose in this season of life? And maybe your season of life changes tomorrow. But right now, what's your purpose in Jill version, whatever, right now in this moment?
That's a great question. And it's different than it's ever been, because right now my purpose, for, like I said, the focus for most of my life was be a good person, which meant externally, I needed to prove to everyone else that I was a good person, and then I could believe it, or then somehow that's where my worth came from. And now through COVID, where I live alone, I'm single, and I have spent more time alone in this last year and a half than I have ever in my entire life, and probably will the rest of my life. It was so much time alone that I had to face the shadow of me. I also had to face the persona, this person who was so caught up in all of the external things that validated me, that made me, that made me feel worthy. And they were gone. Literally every single thing in my life that gave me validation was gone. And I felt worthless. I had like full dark night of the soul, full crisis, like of self and identity, and recognize that this persona, this personality that I had created through conditioning and family and reward and all of these things, serves me in a lot of great ways, but also really hurts me in a lot of ways, and kind of keeps me playing small and keeps me safe and warm and cozy. Again, that comfort zone, right? Where
no growth in the comfort zone.
No growth in the comfort zone. It's so true. There just isn't. And so I'm learning who I really, really am. Like, who am I really without my personality? Who am I really without these external validations? How do I feel worthy when the world shuts down and I have nothing but me? Where does that come from? And how do I honor that? And how do I feel peace at home when it's just me? So that's really right now, I think, my purpose. And it's uncomfortable still. It's very, because I just want to get those like pops of validation and do what I'm used to doing. Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself that you fallen in love with in all this time with yourself?
Wow, that's a good question. Wow. I really like myself. Like, what a gift. And I know that's a gift, because I know a lot of beautiful, amazing people who don't like themselves, and it breaks my heart. And I like myself. I like the way I like the way I show up for myself. I like the way I show up for other people. I like that I like to have fun and play and be silly.
You like to dance.
I like to dance. I like to dance. And I don't know if you know this, but like truly one of my biggest dreams, and I'm a woman, I'm born female, I identify as female. I want to be a drag queen, like desperately. Oh yeah, I have drag queen dreams. Like, and I know I can do it. Like, it will happen. I will perform on a stage in San Francisco one day, and like not too far off, full drag, because they do allow women to like step into shows. So yes, I love to lip sync and dance, because I can't sing, I cannot carry a tune, but I will perform the hell out of like a lip sync.
Okay, what's gonna be your like everybody goes? Okay, let's 2 questions here. Do you have your drag queen name?
No, oh my God, no, but you know what? No, but actually, I have to be very careful. In high school, I was raised Mormon, so I was raised very religious. I was a very good girl. I didn't drink, I wasn't having sex. I was just a good girl who I had good friends. I was popular enough. Like I was well liked. But I also was silly and goofy. And with my girlfriends, we would crank call, like we would literally crank call people. And I have this character that to this day I actually haven't owned. We literally are, I'm famous in my high school for it, although no one to this day knows it's me. So I have held this identity and I can't say her name. She has a name. She's androgynous. It's kind of, you don't know what gender she is. She's very fluid. And I can't say her name, but
But if
but it could be that. It could be that.
in LA, if there's a new drag queen stepping on the stage, is that the name that they're going to carry?
Maybe I'd have to tweak it a little. I can tell you this, Angel is part of her name. Angel is her first name. So I could see that, right? I could see Angel because it's part of her first name. And I feel like that could work for a drag name, but we'll see.
Okay. And what is going to be, do you think, Angel's like go-to song? People are like, oh yeah, she lip syncs this the best.
Oh God. So my this like a song that I love and I've always loved is Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. Like I just love it so much. And that song comes on and I'm just like tapping my feet and I just can't like, yes. So possibly 9 to 5, although a Whitney Houston song. I mean, you can't go, there's so much power in a Whitney Houston song. Yeah. So either Dolly Parton or Whitney Houston.
Okay, well, let me know when I can
Stay
purchase
tuned.
it.
I will.
Jill, this brings, it's a great segue because you and I had chatted beforehand of like, I love to ask people, what could you talk about all day long? And let's create a podcast around that. And because I always want the people that I'm interviewing to feel like this is easy, this is fun. Yeah. And one of the things that you had mentioned was this, idea of we can have many purposes and they can change over time. And so with you sharing all of that, and we've touched on this aspect of strong and what that means to you. And then you also have this challenge going on, this 31-day challenge. And I heard you say you do it twice a year. There is a part of you that loves movement and you're so accountable. Like you're always showing up and showing yourself doing the work and tagging the days and being there. I assume for yourself, but definitely for your community as well. So what's the purpose of that aspect of your life? What does that hold to you?
I just recently read something and I can't remember the name of the doctor who I read it, Dr. Jessica something. I'll have to look it up, but it was talking about introverts, which that's actually another part of me that I've really started to strongly identify with. I think most people who know me would think I'm just fully extroverted because I have an outgoing personality. I'm not shy. I'm not any of the stereotypical introvert qualities outwardly. Yeah. But I am extremely introverted in the way that I recharge and the way that I receive input and energy. And I'm just, yeah. And then COVID, I think, just really highlighted how introverted I actually am, because as challenging as it was, I did really well being on my own when I wasn't in those really dark places. So I say that because I just read something from this woman that talked about introverts require really intense exercise. Like that can be an introverted thing because it's a release. You're like shedding and getting rid of all of the energy and all of the stuff that you've taken on from the day. And I have wondered, I crave very intense exercise. Like I don't do well with slow, chill. I need my heart rate up. I need to be covered in sweat. I need to be moving, because when I'm moving very intensely and quickly and hard, I'm not in my head at all. I am just so in my body, like fully embodied. There's not a thought in my head other than how strong I feel, how capable I feel, how much harder I can go. And I don't think that's for I know that's not for everyone, but I genuinely, yeah, it's not I think for many people. And I've wondered, gosh, why is it that I'm built that way? Because it's not that I think it's what I'm supposed to do. I spend a lot of time thinking about that as well. I think with exercise, and to answer your question with this specific challenge, I tweaked the rules a little. There are these very like sort of specific rules that you're supposed to do for each 31-day challenge, like work out with a buddy 4 times, depending on the year, the time of year, get outside if you can. Usually it's get out of your comfort zone. Usually it's try something new, because that's actually what this challenge was for me 6.5 years ago. I was not a gym person. You wouldn't catch me in a gym. You wouldn't catch me going to a class. You wouldn't catch me trying anything new. I ran, and that's all I had ever done until my mid 30s. And then I like did this challenge, and it just changed my whole relationship with exercise and movement and getting out of your comfort zone. So this challenge specifically, this one we're doing in July, is about having fun and listening to your body, like really honoring what your body wants and needs, not what you think you're supposed to do, not what like the person you follow on Instagram does. You're like, oh, well, they look good and I want to look like that, so I'm going to do that. What does your body want? Which I mean, you're, as a yoga instructor, you're very good, I would imagine, at listening to your body and what it wants and needs. Do you feel like you're able to do that quite well, or no?
Well, I guess there's a couple pieces to that. So I actually stopped teaching yoga in March. I
Right.
had
I
this
remember that. Go ahead.
profound insight that yoga was I'm like an obsessive learner. I feel like I don't know how to not learn. Like I was saying to my partner yesterday, he was gone for a few days. I mean, a few hours, and my period started yesterday and I was in so much pain and I couldn't do anything. And I was like, I should read, I should watch a webinar, I should listen to this podcast. It was like, learn. I was like,
Should.
And I was really realizing, it was becoming more and more apparent that yoga started off for me as something that really supported me and my well-being. And then when I became a teacher, I mean, the best teachers are students, right? Like I learned that from being a high school teacher as well, like learn and then you will be able to teach. I was attending yoga classes and not being present because the whole time I was thinking, oh, I could take a piece of this into my class, or, oh, I like what they said, I hope I remember that, or that's a good transition, or that's a good sequence.
Wow.
And I wasn't being present. And so I was actually like not in my body at all. I was in my head. Whereas when I used to practice yoga, I'd go to yoga to get out of my head and like stretch and feel good in my body. So since March of 2021, I have been a regular student. A lot of my students were like, oh, but you're still going to come. Like, why don't you just teach? I'm like, nope, this is not working for my mental health.
Yeah.
And it's so great. I go to classes. I don't have the switch on at all of like, oh, I could teach that. It's like, no, I'm here to just absorb and be in it. So yes, now that I am fully a student, I know how to like be in my body and listen to my body. But as somebody who is like, do you know like Clifton Strengths?
Oh yeah.
My number one is intellectualization. As somebody who is, I need to learn everything. I'm in my brain a lot.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So
my brain is always like, okay, now how do you teach this? How do you teach this? It's like, I want to be the expert on it and then teach it. So to be in my body is very challenging.
That's, and I think, again, I think most people probably fall into that camp of it's not to the extent of like, I need to learn, like not to the extent that like intellectualization, which is one of your strengths. But I think a lot of people really struggle with getting into their bodies. And that's why we're in a lot of the places that we're in, because everyone's just in their heads. They're not listening to what their bodies are telling them. And I think our bodies are so much more knowledgeable than our brains, right? I really do. Our bodies know, and they talk to us all the time. And we're so trained to just tell them to like, fuck off. No, I know what I'm doing. I got this. You shut up. Like, and right. So that's what I really wanted for this challenge. And that's something that I've become. So when you say that, like Jill, you're able to like exercise, it's because I listen to my body. And my body says you need to move, and my body says there's stuff here that you gotta get out, and you need to move it. And sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's a hike. Sometimes it's just sit on the bike for 20 minutes. Sometimes it's go hit a heavy bag. You need to like punch some shit. Sometimes it's you need to go be in a class and just have someone tell you what to do. So you're not even thinking. It's really all over the place. And I think that's what I'm getting better and better and better at doing, is because I see people on Instagram who have insane bodies. They're so strong. They're so incredible. I'm so inspired by them. And they do kind of the same stuff over and over and over. And that's just not me. Like, I need the variety too. I need to mix it up. I need to and that's where the listening to my body. It's like, no, today lifting heavy weights doesn't sound good at all. Don't do that. And honoring that is become a game changer for me, because I enjoy what I'm doing, because I listen to my body tell me what it wants. And then my body's like, oh, yes. And I just thrive.
And, and hearing you say that, and I know at the beginning, you did identify, like, I do identify as she, her. I am a female. I'm born that way. And so I feel comfortable to say this. And as a woman, perhaps you have a cycle as well. And I learned from actually somebody that I had on the podcast a few months ago. And she's really into those that have uteruses and they're in their reproductive years. And she teaches movement, and she's like, if you think about the 4 phases of your cycle, like the 4 seasons, and so the week before your period is fall, the week of your actual bleed is winter, then the week before ovulation is spring, and then you're ovulating at summer. And she said, if you think about the energy that those seasons carry and how you move your body, like in the dead of winter, most people aren't like, rah, 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 I want to run a marathon. But in the heat of summer, you're like, I can stay up all day. I can run, and then I can lift weights. And like, as women, if we tune into our bodies and tune into our cycles, there's a lot of power there.
No, that's such an incredible way to think about it. I've certainly never heard that before. That's really interesting. And I'm gonna have to start paying attention to like, oh, this is why my body is like, nope, we're not doing that today. That does not sound good. That's really, really, really amazing. And I like that. And I think, there's a lot of truth to that for sure.
I can send you that episode, because she talks about how men actually run on the circadian rhythm. And as women, we have the circadian rhythm as well, like where, yes, we have melatonin when we sleep and we have serotonin when we're awake, but we actually have our own rhythm. So we're not on a 24-hour cycle rhythm. We're on a 28-day cycle rhythm. And tuning in with that. And I forget the name of it because I'd never heard of it. I was like, I'm today years old when I learned this fact. So yeah, it's just like so interesting. So to hear you say that, like, I'm not what's the word? I don't love intense exercise. I think the way that like I see perhaps you moving, and I'm very aware of like when I feel more motivated to like go do a 10K hike, and when I want to just like roll out my mat and like roll around.
Yeah. Because going to go do a 10K hike, that like requires endurance, that requires drive, commitment. Like you're asking such a different thing of your body to show up in a completely different way. And if we can just do that, if we can just let our bodies decide, right? Rather than be like, no, this is what you're going to do today and you're going to like it. And I think so many people get hung up on, well, I don't like exercise, but I know I'm supposed to. And so I just do it. And I'm like, no, I know everyone can like some form of exercise. It's just, again, very similar to like finding your purpose or your passions. There, you got to figure out which one is for you. You can't be like, oh, well, that person has purpose and I like their purpose, so I'm just going to do that and try it on and be like, oh, this doesn't feel right. You really do need to try all the different ways of moving your body and see what the best release is for you and which one your body really responds to. And that's, again, with this challenge, I encourage people to try new things. I do encourage them to get out of their comfort zone, have fun, like exercise. And if COVID taught us nothing, exercise does not have to be in a gym, right? Like I'm constantly looking around on hikes, like what log can I jump on? And like, I like as a kid, I try to remember as a kid, who would I have been on this hike when I was a child? Like I would have been so curious and I would have been climbing on things and playing on things, and just have fun with moving your body. It does not need to be this like sludge of like, oh, well, I just got to do it because I want to look a certain way or my doctor told me to. I think people started really listening to their bodies and trying to have fun with movement, I don't know. I think it would be a game changer, but just, yeah, we get all stuck in our heads about how it should be and what it should look like. And well, I'm such and such years old, so I'm not going to jump on a log. That's right.
Yeah. And I love the saying, like, move because you love your body, not because you hate your body. Like, oh, I don't like the way I look, so I'm going to move.
Yes.
Like, I love my body, so I'm going to move it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Jill, I'm curious because I know, you did CTI as well. And so you are a trained coach. And once again, we had many interactions together. And I know for myself, the profound personal learning and growth that I've had since becoming a coach it's nobody could have told me that I would have grown so much. What do you feel like coaching has provided for you personally? I know you offer the service within your company, but what has it done for you?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge when you said it, like you were just framing the question and how it impacted you. You just lit up, like truly, you just lit. There was like a beam of light around you, because I know that how profound it was. The session I think we had, where it was wildly transformative for you. You're like, I'm a different person, and yeah.
Yeah. I remember we were talking about like our pictures of our nanny and
yes. So I just want to acknowledge, I know that for you. And for me, it's been, it's been more of like, just learning to honor my innate gifts. I think, it's so interesting because I'm also someone I'm very curious, but I think we're very different. I certainly do not have intellectualization as one of my strengths. But I'm curious, but I'm a learner by doing. I don't want to be in class. I don't want to be like reading a book and studying and taking tests, and that has never been my MO. I've done well naturally. I did well in school naturally, but I never really clicked with it. And I think it's because I'm a very organic learner, and being in CTI, I found it really challenging. And I'm actually going to continue a certification, hopefully starting in August. And I'm really nervous about it because it's going to be a lot of learning and studying and following. These are the steps, and this is how you're supposed to do this. And I get really hung up on that, and I get in my head. And again, as someone who is extremely heart-centered, I don't live in my head. And when my head starts to try to like control things, I get way out of whack. I feel very off. And with CTI, I was in my head. But since now I'm out and I'm coaching, and I get to just really lean into my innate skills that CTI certainly helped me recognize. It was like, oh yeah, no, you can do this. Yeah, you can do this. You got this. This is already in you. You need to just go do it now. The doing part feels so natural. It just feels so natural. And before CTI, I wouldn't have even considered being a coach. Like I just wouldn't have even considered it. And so through CTI, it just gave me that the affirmation of like, this is what you should be doing. This is a gift of yours. And I believe it, right? Like, I don't think I believed it before, and I believe it now. And that feels extremely powerful to believe that I am a coach. I have this skill. I have this gift. And that just gives me confidence.
Yeah, you're incredibly self-aware. I have to say that, like in saying this, all of this, and just like the things you've learned about your purpose and what you've learned about being on your own, like truly on your own, in your living space, as the world was so bizarre for the last however long. It kind of feels like a warp zone. Your self-awareness is quite high. Jill, I'd love to know I'm a big person about celebration. So I love, with anybody that I'm coaching, I'm always like, okay, and how will you celebrate that? When are you going to celebrate it? What will celebrating look like? What do you want? So I guess this is like a manifesting goal sort of question, but what do you want to be or celebrating at the end of 2021? So it's December 31st, 2021. What are you celebrating about you, your life?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm celebrating that I made it through the last 4.5 years were extremely transitional. I made a huge sacrifice to leave my career in law to take jump ship and pursue another career at this PR agency and now with coaching. And there was a lot of sacrifice that came with that because I was basically starting over after working for 10 years and doing well. And that sacrifice was hard and lonely at times and isolating and super challenging. And I didn't feel a lot of peace. I felt like I was doing on the right path. Like I knew I was going the right direction, but there wasn't a lot of peace or comfort during the last 4.5 years. And I'm going to celebrate that I feel peace. I just feel like, my God, Jill, you have made some really difficult choices and you have not taken a path that I think anyone saw for me or would have wanted for me, very unconventional. And I feel so at peace about it. I feel so grateful that I listened to myself and that I listened to my true self and like honored what my heart knew was right for me and not, what society or the world or everyone else would have wanted for me. And it worked. It works. So that's what I'll be celebrating.
Because it's your path.
Yeah. Yeah.
How will you celebrate?
Oh, that's a good question too. I mean, I really want to go on another big trip. I want to travel. So in 2022, I know. Oh, I know. So I'd like to, by the end of this year, be like, you are planning a big international trip in 2022. If the world allows and it feels right, it will be, planning a big 2022 trip. I'm a big believer, the end of the year, I'm a big believer in celebrating and reflecting. So I'll certainly do that. I'll certainly journal and write about all of the things that I'm grateful for 2021, the challenges, the ups, the downs. But yeah, I think I'll plan a big trip.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
So Jill, everybody that's listening, I'm sure is going to be really inspired. I think maybe this is me projecting because it's like, this is what I'm inspired by. But the way that you listen to yourself and how people can listen to themselves. And so I want to know, because I'm sure people will reach out and ask me, is there a way people can get connected with you? If so, what does that look like? Where can people find you? And we can make sure that all that gets put into the show notes as well.
Well, thank you. That is very kind of you to say. My Instagram, I'm very active on Instagram. So it's just at Jill Veghlan, my first and last name, JILLVEGLAHN. I do also have Instagram for strong 2_ LA. Not super active because we've been on pause for the last 1.5 years, but that will be coming back. And then if it's, for more than that, or if it's coaching, or if it's just someone wants to just chat and be like, hey, I really love what you're doing. And that sounds really cool. And I have the same interests. I do get a lot of people who actually are genuinely interested in doing work with incarcerated youth. And they don't know how to go about it. So if someone's ever interested in that, I'd love to just talk about it and help them understand kind of the path and how to do that. Email is probably the best way, or even my phone number. Like seriously, you can have people just text me, but my email is my first and last name, Jill Veghlan @gmail. So those are the best ways. I'm on LinkedIn, Jill Veghlan. I'm the only Jill Veghlan, so pretty easy to find me that way.
Okay, yeah, I'll make sure all that's noted. I was just going to say, how do people work out with you?
So if you're in LA, you can just hit me up and be like, hey, there's a cool class, or hey, I want to, just Instagram me. So DM me, hit me up in those DMs. I check them often. If you want to join the challenge, again, I do it twice a year, July and December. So it's a really great way, like midsummer, to sort of keep that motivation. And then I love it. A lot of folks feel like December is a really rough time and people make all the excuses in the world to not do a challenge like this in December. There's travel, there's food, it's cold, it's all of the things. But there's something so amazing about ending a year feeling incredibly strong and committed, and then going into that next year, you're already ahead of the curve. You've already set yourself up to go into the next year feeling super accomplished and super ready. So through the challenges, that's a really great way too, to just, if we want to do it virtually, right? If you're like in another part of the country, we do have a lot of folks all over the country who participate, and it feels like we're working out together because we connect so well over social media. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I know lots of people that love movement, and I know lots of people that are aspiring to make a difference in the world, whether that be through like social justice activism or just using their voice in a way that feels true and powerful to them. So I'm really looking forward to everybody being able to listen to this today or watch it, whether they find it whatever platform people find this on. And I just want to say thank you for coming on here and sharing that. I never knew the backstory to Strong. And yeah, it is amazing that you're doing this work, and I got to experience the gift of your coaching. You're such an incredible coach, and you're so easy to chat to. And lastly, I can't wait to show up and be in the front row of that performance.
Oh, it's happening. Don't you worry. I will let you know. Thank you, Nicole. I just adore you. I just really I feel a lot of emotion here right now because you're so comforting and so warm and so easy. And I just feel such a pull to you. And I know that's part of your gift. It's just who you are. But I just want to honor that and say thank you. This was such a treat. And I also have a really hard time when it's all about me. Like, it was really hard for me to not want to put it back on you and ask you questions. So thank you for letting it be about me. That was really gracious and generous of you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I want people to hear other people's stories. And so I'm so glad that you were, willing to come on and do this, excited. And I will make sure that everybody has a way to listen to this. And then beyond this, I can't wait for you and I to connect wherever that may be in the world, but it's happening.
It's happening. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye, Jill.
Bye.